The polished floors of Sterling Enterprises gleamed under the soft glow of the ceiling lights. Each night, after the last employee had gone home, the quiet halls became the kingdom of one man, Daniel Hayes, the janitor. To most, Daniel was invisible. A single dad in his late 30s, he walked with a quiet humility, mop in hand, his blue uniform faded with years of use. Few people bothered to look past the uniform, the calloused hands, or the weary eyes. What they didn't know was that Daniel carried a story buried deep in his soul, a story of love, sacrifice, and music. By day, he was a janitor. By night, he was a father, devoted to his daughter, Emily. At just 8 years old, Emily was the light of his world. Her laughter kept him going, even when life seemed unbearably heavy. She loved drawing rainbows, listening to bedtime stories, and especially, hearing her dad play piano, something no one else at the company even knew he could do. Music had once been Daniel's dream. In college, he studied piano performance, and his professors whispered about his brilliance. But dreams have a way of being shattered. When his wife fell gravely ill, he dropped out to take care of her. The medical bills drowned them, and after she passed away, Daniel was left with nothing but a little girl to raise and a heart weighed down with grief. The piano, once his future, became a luxury he could no longer afford. Still, every now and then, at church or in borrowed moments, his fingers found the keys again. And when they did, Emily would sit beside him, wide-eyed, as though she were watching magic unfold. But at Sterling Enterprises, no one knew. To them, Daniel was just the janitor who worked quietly in the background. Until one Friday afternoon, when everything changed. The company was buzzing with excitement that day. The CEO, Catherine Sterling, was hosting an event in the grand lobby, a showcase for the staff and visiting clients. The room was adorned with flowers, tall glass windows, and in the center, a sleek black grand piano. Daniel noticed it as he was mopping nearby. His eyes lingered just a moment too long, memories flooding back. He quickly looked away, afraid someone might notice the longing in his gaze. Unfortunately, someone did. A group of young interns, standing by with cups of coffee, spotted him. They whispered, chuckling among themselves. One smirked. "Hey, Dan! You look like you want to play that thing." Daniel froze, embarrassed. No. I should get back to work." But the teasing didn't stop. "Come on, janitor, give us a tune. Show us what you've got. Bet you can't even play chopsticks." The group laughed, clearly joking at his expense. A hush fell over the room as more people turned to watch. Someone even called out, "Yeah, let the janitor play." Daniel's face burned red. He wanted to disappear. But then he remembered Emily. She always told him, "Daddy, you're amazing. Don't let anyone make you feel small." So, instead of walking away, Daniel slowly set his mop aside. He straightened his shoulders, walked over to the piano, and sat down. His hands trembled slightly as he touched the keys for the first time in years. "All right," one of the interns muttered sarcastically. "This should be good." But the moment Daniel began to play, the room changed. His fingers glided effortlessly across the keys, weaving a melody that seemed to float in the air like sunlight breaking through clouds. It wasn't just music, it was emotion. Years of love, pain, loss, and hope poured out through each note. The melody rose and fell, tender and powerful, carrying everyone in the room to a place beyond words. People stopped talking. Conversations died mid-sentence. Phones lowered. Even the interns who had mocked him stood frozen, their smirks erased. Daniel played with his eyes closed, lost in the music. For him, it wasn't about impressing anyone. It was about remembering who he was, and for a moment, it was about giving his daughter the music she loved so much. And then, something unexpected happened. At the back of the crowd, CEO Catherine Sterling stepped forward. A woman known for her sharp business sense and unshakable composure, she was suddenly still, her eyes glistening. Daniel's music struck something deep within her, something she hadn't let herself feel in years. She remembered her own childhood, sitting by her father's piano as he played. He had been her hero. But he passed away long ago, and she had buried those emotions under layers of work and responsibility. Now, listening to Daniel, the memories came rushing back, raw and unfiltered. To everyone's shock, tears rolled down her cheeks. When the final note lingered and faded into silence, the room erupted, not in laughter, but in thunderous applause. People were on their feet, clapping, some even wiping away their own tears. Daniel opened his eyes, stunned. He hadn't expected this. He quickly stood, embarrassed, and muttered, I should get back to work." He reached for his mop, but Catherine's voice cut through the applause. "Mr. Hayes." Daniel froze. No one called him by his last name. Not here. Catherine stepped closer, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "That was extraordinary. Where did you learn to play like that?" Daniel hesitated, unsure how much to share. Finally, he said softly, "Music was my dream once. But life had other plans." The crowd was silent, hanging on every word. Catherine studied him for a long moment. Then she said, "Life may have changed your path, but that gift, what you just gave us, that's rare. And it's powerful." Daniel shifted uncomfortably. "Thank you, ma'am. But I really should get back to my duties." But Catherine wasn't finished. "Mr. Hayes, would you be willing to play at our company's gala next month? It's a charity event. I think your music could touch hearts far beyond this room." The request left Daniel speechless. Him? A janitor? Play at a gala? Before he could respond, the interns who had mocked him earlier stepped forward, faces red with shame. One of them stammered, We're sorry, Dan. We didn't know." Daniel gave a small, forgiving smile. "It's all right. Sometimes people don't see past the surface." Over the next few weeks, Daniel's life quietly began to change. Word spread about his performance, and employees who once ignored him now greeted him warmly. Some even stayed after work to hear him practice on the piano in the lobby, something Catherine had encouraged him to do. But the most meaningful change was at home. When Daniel told Emily what had happened, her eyes lit up with pride. "See, Daddy? I told you you're amazing!" On nights when he practiced, Emily would sit nearby with her sketchbook, drawing rainbows while he filled the room with music. For the first time in years, their small apartment felt full of hope again. And when the night of the gala arrived, Daniel stood backstage in a suit borrowed from a friend, hands trembling not with fear, but with gratitude. He wasn't just playing for the wealthy guests in the room. He was playing for his daughter, for his late wife, for the man he had almost forgotten he could be. As he stepped onto the stage and the spotlight found him, he glanced into the crowd and saw Catherine watching from the front row, her expression filled with quiet encouragement. Daniel sat at the piano, took a deep breath, and let the music flow. And once again, the world stopped to listen,